If you're familiar with the saying, "The Emperor has no clothes," or if you've seen Disney's The Little Mermaid, you're more familiar with Hans Christian Andersen than you might think. Avid theater-goers may likely have seen Once Upon a Mattress, based on his story The Princess and the Pea, and many children have heard the story of The Ugly Duckling or Thumbelina. Steadfast Tin Soldier is reprised for the third year, this year online, by Chicago's Lookingglass Theatre Company. The plotline devised by the 19th century Danish storyteller might best be described to a modern audience as Toy Story 1.0. Stand by for the complete review. This is Reno Lovison, executive producer at ChicagoBroadcastingNetwork.com and theater reviewer for Chicago Theater and Arts. We've all had to learn a little bit these past several months about what it means to be steadfast. In many cases, we've had to examine our personal positions about politics, social justice, and our commitment to our family, friends, and community. At times, this has required us to be more fluid and flexible, but at other times, it's required that we be steadfast in our values and personal positions about what we believe is right and what we personally stand for and how far we're willing to compromise. The year 2020 has taken its toll on the theater community in Chicago and indeed throughout the United States and around the world. One way to support local theater is to consider some of the online offerings, such as this production of Steadfast Tin Soldier from the Lookingglass Company, as well as upcoming productions of A Christmas Carol by the Goodman Theater, recently reviewed by Jody Jacobs at Chicago Theater and Arts, and a radio-style version of the popular Dickens classic by Theater in the Dark that I'm planning to review next week. If you're basically staying close to home and feeling a little anxious, why not busy your fingers by taking piano lessons via Zoom or FaceTime? The Lakeshore Music Studio has been providing online piano lessons since March, and has indeed seen an increase in enrollment by adults who are returning to the piano for a diversion, or those who always thought it would be something they'd like to do or would love to accomplish. To learn more, visit lakeshoremusicstudio.com or call and leave a message at 312-335-8426. It's difficult to say when or where the idea of a theatrical performance about the secret life of toys may have begun. There is, of course, the Nutcracker Suite, another perennial favorite, and no doubt others that predate both of them. In this toy box tale by Hans Christian Andersen, a damaged tin soldier falls in love with a beautiful dollhouse ballerina who's already evidently in a relationship with a somewhat hideous Jack-in-the-Box. An unfortunate turn of events sends our soldier hero on an odyssey that separates the lovers until their surprising reunion with a shocking twist. This version, written and directed by Mary Zimmerman, presented as a pantomime, has no dialogue, relying heavily on the physicality of the actors to tell the story. The 5-person cast features Lookingglass Ensemble members Casey Foster as the ballerina, Anthony Irons as the Jack-in-the-Box, with Joe Dempsey as the nursemaid, John Gregorio as the rat, and Alex Stein in the title role of the Steadfast Tin Soldier. In addition to their primary roles, each member plays a variety of subordinate roles as well. Joe Dempsey and John Gregorio, for instance, are responsible for much of the comedic action, with the highlight being a romantic encounter between a fishmonger and a nursemaid. Casey Foster and Anthony Irons perform an amusing slow-motion skirmish as two boys who tussle over the found toy soldier with creative and amusing choreography by Tracy Walsh. The evocative original score composed by Andre Plus and Amanda Dennert is skillfully executed by a piano, string, and flute ensemble in a modernist genre with jazz elements. The effect is reminiscent of a silent movie, with the music setting the tempo of the action and providing emotional accents. There are no songs per se, but rather a series of instrumental vignettes, and therefore no lyrics, except for the finale number that sort of sums up the moral of the story for those who might be a bit confounded by the various goings-on. My first impulse is to say that this is a non-traditional performance, but then I realize that that's only true in a contemporary sense. Actually, this production is full of ancient stagecraft borrowed from a number of traditions. There is, of course, pantomime, music, puppetry large and small, designed by Chicago Puppet Studio, circus choreography, and body movement that can certainly be included in the realm of dance, though this is not a ballet to be sure. Virtually any person from essentially any language group or culture would be able to understand the essence of this story that portrays basic archetypes experiencing universal human relationships. Costume designer Anna Kuzmanek along with her team, provides a kaleidoscope of color in bold fabrics that would rival a Venetian masquerade. Dramatic, oversized hats and body silhouettes give the production a kind of Alice in Wonderland feel that accentuates the fantasy. A two-legged deer in fancy dress offers a dreamlike effect with a touch of absurd elegance. The giant baby head and hands, big eyeball peeping inside the dollhouse, and anthropomorphized rat all contribute to the phantasmagorical quality that borders on a nightmare, or at least an oversized children's book. As a kind of caution, it's fair to say that, by some modern standards, the characters of the Steadfast Tin Soldier and Ballerina might be regarded as predictable and cliché, so should be considered within the context of the time in which they were written. It's also important to remember that Andersen, like the Brothers Grimm, did not avoid tough subjects that warned of the harshness and unfairness of life. After all, Andersen wrote of a ballerina whose feet are cut off to break a dancing spell, and a little match girl who ironically dies in the cold. At a time when we're challenged by outside forces, when little boys are taught that they don't always have to be good soldiers, and little girls can be something other than ballerinas, this could be a good catalyst for discussion about gender roles, and in the age of COVID, how each of us deal with adversity and even death. The entire performance is notably only 1 hour long, which, combined with the amusing storyline and delightful theatrics, makes this an ideal first experience for younger or otherwise uninitiated theatergoers. I'm sure it was originally conceived to capture the attention of Michigan Avenue shoppers who would be happy to have a short respite to round off their holiday excursion before returning home. However, I think it's fair to say that though an entertaining visual spectacle, this is not exactly a feel-good holiday story. Parents who bring children with curious minds should be prepared for some difficult questions relating to the fate of the main characters. I personally would not recommend this for children under 12. The production holds up well as an internet presentation, though I suggest trying to get it displayed on the largest screen possible, and perhaps most importantly with the best sound system you have available. Both of these factors are likely to enhance your enjoyment, especially if you're viewing it with other people. I briefly previewed the performance on my desktop with a 19-inch monitor and some decent speakers, but watched the entire production via Roku using the Stellar app on a 32-inch TV, sitting pretty close, with headphones that provided exceptional sound. If you have a large-screen TV 50 inches or more, with a good soundbar or speakers, I think you'll be quite pleased when viewing this via the Stellar app with multiple people. The Steadfast Tin Soldier runs 1 hour with no intermission, through December 27, 2020, online. The production will stream through Stellar, that's STELLAR, which manages ticket validation and program delivery. Tickets and information are available at lookingglasstheatre.org, and that's theater with an R-E, lookingglasstheatre.org. As a postscript to this review, I suggest, if you're a Roku user, that you consider downloading the free Tubi app or channel to your Roku device. Then consider watching the still delightful 1952 Hans Christian Andersen story in full color with Danny Kaye in the title role, featuring music and lyrics by Frank Lesser, with a credible screenplay by Ben Hecht and Moss Hart. This is not a biopic, but rather a tale about the life of a famous storyteller. Unlike some of Andersen's individual, sometimes grim stories, this film is suitable for all ages, from the very young to the very old, and is perfect holiday fare for the whole family, though many teenagers will no doubt find it lame. However, it was one of my favorites growing up, and I think it still stands the test of time. If you enjoy The Steadfast Tin Soldier, this can be a good way to continue your acquaintance with the author, or it can be used as a prequel to the online live performance. For the ballerinas, aspiring actresses, and other preteens and young ladies in your family, I suggest also taking a look at Ballet Shoes, also free on Tubi via Roku or online at Tubi, that's tubi.com. Featuring Emma Watson, Yasmin Page, Lucy Boynton, Amelia Fox, and Victoria Wood, Ballet Shoes is the story of 3 orphan girls facing tough times in 1930s London who find their footing when they're given the opportunity to enter an extraordinary school for the performing arts. We recently watched this, and I will say that if you're a fan of Alcott or Bronte, you will likely enjoy Ballet Shoes. And Harry Potter fans will no doubt enjoy seeing Emma Watson in another fine performance. As always, please be sure to listen to our monthly Chicago Neighborhood News podcast derived from the Inside Publications newspapers. And if you need video production or content creation for your business or organization, check out renoweb.net. We would really like to make an effort to expand our audience in the coming year and hope that you'll take a moment to like, share, and or subscribe to this podcast. Also, maybe tell a friend or leave a comment to let us know what you think about what we're doing. This is Reno Lovison, executive producer at Chicago Broadcasting Network, wishing you a happy holiday season. Let's end with a snippet of Frank Loesser's overture from the film Hans Christian Andersen.